What's going on, guys? It's your boy Spudzie here, and the October 18th patch has arrived. In this patch, you've got quite a few cool things going on, as you've probably seen already. The Mad King event is here, bringing with it a very nice way to farm gold through trick-or-treat bags. The trick-or-treat bag PvP and Wolf vs. World War tracks have been added to the game, and are honestly a very nice way to get some bonus gold from playing game modes you already enjoy. Assuming you sell all the bags, you can get an extra 10 gold on top of a free 20 slot bag. Definitely something to check out if you can get your hands on some extra boosters. Following that, the Candy Corn Gobbler is back in the gem store, so if you don't already have one, now is the time. It is definitely worth the price tag, assuming you are someone who does a lot of farming, whether that be in Wolf vs. World, PvP, or even open world. New Black Lion weapon skins were also added into the claim tickets. The Dokkaebi skin line. These skins look fantastic. The blue fire and trail effect that comes off these weapons look amazing, and I can't wait to get my hands on some of them. My personal favorites are probably the shield and the scepter. With all of that good stuff out of the way, it's time to talk about the not so good. And that is the nerfs that came to Vindicator. You see, this wasn't a point covered on anyone's patch review, and for good reason. Vindicator was stealth nerfed severely in the latest patch, and it wasn't mentioned on the notes until 3 hours after they had been posted. So what were these nerfs? Most of the nerfs were targeted towards endurance gain on Vindicator. Again, this is Vindicator's third nerf in a row, and honestly it will have a pretty big impact on the overall performance of the spec in competitive game modes. Two traits in the Retribution tree were slated for nerfs. Both now have reduced endurance, regeneration, and vigor duration. Fortunately, this nerf only applies when you have the Vindicator elite spec slotted, meaning that this nerf won't impact the other rev specs, which is a very nice thing. A lot of the traits in Vindicator itself were also nerfed hard. Imperial Impact had its protection reduced to half a second instead of 1.5 seconds. Song of Arboreum has probably the most ridiculous nerfs I've seen so far, with a reduced vigor duration down from 2 seconds to half a second in PvP. This is down from 4 seconds to 1 second in Wolf vs. World. These changes that bring the duration of boons down to half a second are utterly useless in my mind. What is half a second of vigor and protection really going to contribute to? The trait in Invocation that allowed you to gain endurance for swapping to Lion Stance was also hit. Reaver's Curse is also nerfed down to 1 endurance per target hit, down from 2 in PvP only. Realistically, you'd be hitting at most 3 targets, possibly 4 with this in PvP, depending on what build you're playing. So this could be a potential option for some builds to still run after the Arboreum nerfs. The rest of the changes are targeted towards Wolf vs. World to help sort of bring Vindicator in line with how it is currently in PvP. Tree Song had its energy cost increased from 20 to 25, as well as the cooldown increased from 3 to 5 seconds. Energy Meld is now the same in PvP and Wolf vs. World, with the endurance gain now being 15 as opposed to 25. And lastly, Saint Shield, the healing and barrier drop on Vindicator, was nerfed by a substantial amount. To be fair, I feel like a lot of the nerfs made in Wolf vs. World were justified. Vindicator was significantly better in Wolf vs. World as opposed to how it was in PvP, so it makes sense bringing that more in line. This brings me to my next point, Vindicator and PvP. I feel that while some nerfs may have been justified, this was just way too harsh. Vindicator in PvP wasn't nearly as overpowered as it was a few weeks ago. It feels like the Wolf vs. World variation of Vindicator got away with just a slap on the wrist, while the PvP version got gutted. A good analogy would probably be, imagine the Wolf vs. World version of Vindicator committing a bunch of crimes and then shifting the blame towards PvP Vindicator, ultimately granting it a punishment that it didn't deserve. It doesn't feel good or impactful in the slightest, like how Vindicator used to feel when they had one powerful dodge. On the bright side, the video I made covering the best Vindicator build for PvP still holds up, and probably even more now that the Retribution build has been nerfed. Let me know what you guys think about these changes and what you look forward to doing most in the newest patch. Me personally, I'll be farming the Labyrinth, grinding for them bags. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.